I had a lot of abuse in my life, and because of the abuse, I tended to get into more abusive situations.
Our environment has a huge impact on how we perceive ourselves. The world has made me believe that I'm not so great, but how do I redefine myself consciously?
All of a sudden, I hit this button, and this button inside of me said, no, I'm not that kind of a person. I have done so much in my life that I believe that I have set myself up for success. Finding your purpose is about finding happiness. I believe that if you're not happy, get happy.
My psychologist told me that you don't need.
Situations don't worry me.
So zero panic attacks. Brilliant.
I'm able to do more.
Phenomenal change in a very short period of time.
I can't just describe it was how good it has been.
Oh, there's a huge difference.
I'm happy I'm feeling better.
Welcome, Tamara. Very warm welcome to this show. Thank you for choosing to join us and sharing your story. The reason your story is so powerful is that I see a lot of people who are stuck in circumstances where they feel that they are victims of their circumstances. They are maybe living in a situation that is very abusive towards them, or working in jobs or environments which are very toxic and abusive towards them. Essentially, they are finding themselves to be very unhappy, but at the same time, they feel they are trapped. So this is where a story such as yours will come as a source of inspiration and a guiding light to people who are somehow believing, okay, this is what my life is. This is all that's ever gonna be, and I'm trapped and my life sucks. So before we go there, I would like to highlight to our viewers, Tamara and I, we have co-authored a book together. It is called Rebirth, where you will get to read a lot of stories of such powerful transformations where these amazing people were put in impossible situations and they never lost hope, they never gave up, and step by step, they were able to break out of that shell, give a new rebirth to themselves. Let's begin by understanding where you were. Like, what was that point where you thought a drastic change is needed? What was your life before the transformation, before the understanding, before the epiphany?
My life was really pretty boring. I had a lot of abuse in my life, and because of the abuse, I tended to get into more abusive situations. Not only that, I learned setting myself up to be a victim. When you have been abused so much, you learn to be the victim per se. And then one day I was sitting in church and I heard this song. It's called Nobody by Casting Crowns. And it was talking about how I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody about somebody. All of a sudden I hit this button, and this button inside of me said, no, I'm not that kind of a person. I have done so much in my life that I believe that I have set myself up for success. So once I took that step and I started changing my mindset, which I honestly believe that's where most people have a problem. They forget that they have to change that mindset. They tend to say something like, if you tell yourself, I'm not that smart, and even if you're doing it in jest, it tells your brain, oh, I'm really not that smart. But if you tell yourself every day that you're smart, you're beautiful, and it's not just affirmations. I want to say that it's more than just affirmations. It's making yourself believe, changing your belief systems, changing your narrative, changing everything about the way you believe about yourself makes you want to be a better person. Then you start realizing where you want to be. I dream of being as big as Tony Robbins. That's where I'm trying to go. It's really hard to think that I came from a place where I was called Edith. And in the book I talked about Edith. Well, Edith was this lady from All in the Family. And her name was Edith Bunker. And she was made to be ditzy. like her opinion didn't matter and nothing that she said really mattered. And she was told how they talked over her a lot and they made her feel like she really was not that important. And that's where I came to be. My stepfather used to call me Edith all the time. He'd say things like, spit it out, Edith, spit it out. And that meant that I was slow and not smart enough to really come to my words. What he didn't understand was I was so afraid of him that everything that I said and did was even harder to say because I was trying not to be afraid of him and not to show him that I was weak. I was trying to be that, but I ended up looking weaker and weaker. So they took that as a weakness. So anyway, that's where I came from.
So, as I always say, our environment where we are growing up, where we are spending our foundational years, that has a huge impact on how we perceive ourselves. So, as you said, your stepfather was constantly making you feel like you are weak or you lack something or you're not smart. And then you touched on a very important point where you said, yeah, if that's what my understanding was, that's what I had learned to believe about me, I had to rewire my identity step by step. Can you talk through that process a little? Because that's one of the most important processes that anybody who wants to transform their lives needs to go through. Yeah, the world has made me believe that I'm not so great, but how do I redefine myself consciously? Can you talk about that a little bit?
First of all, you have to take an inventory of yourself and you have to think about what your belief systems are. Belief systems, I call them BS because it's BS. They're stupid things. You tell yourself like, no pain, no gain. And if you change that around, the first thing you have to do is understand what makes you tick. What really makes you tick? What makes you want to be who you want to be? For me, it's my children and my grandchildren. That's who I want to be. I have 6 grandchildren and I want them to understand that they can be anything they want to be. That made me want to be a better person. So I started with that. And then I set my goals. And then I took my goals and I broke them down into step by step. Why did I want this goal? Why was this goal important? What was important about that goal? Once I started doing that, you can pretty much see where you want your life to be. I've always wanted to talk anyway, but everybody made me feel like I really wasn't that good at talking. Even when I was in the Army and I was a leader in the Army, I was a platoon sergeant. My soldiers would say, "Oh, your voice is so squeaky." Yeah, my voice was squeaky to them. It made me want to turn around and not say anything. So then I would quit talking or I would turn to yelling. That just made me look crazy. So why do I want to look crazy? So I changed the way that I looked at myself. I said, okay, I'm really not that. I'm really pretty smart. I spent 17 years in the military. The only reason I got out of the military is because I was broken. I have a lot of medical issues. And that's why I mean by broken. So when I got out of the military, I said, okay, what am I going to do now? So I said, okay, I really like looking at houses, so I'm going to be a realtor. I did like to look at houses, and I do like to look at houses, but I'm not that high pressure salesman. I'm not that high pressure person that wants to, oh, yes, you need to buy this house. You need to buy this house, blah, blah, blah. That's not the way I am. So I said, okay. I went back to school and I became an interior designer. And again, it goes back to that high pressure sales. Now, I don't believe in high pressure sales, but I believe in selling yourself. And to sell yourself, you have to believe in yourself. So that means I have to change everything. You have to change your whole way of thinking. You have to start with the littlest thing and change it to be a bigger thing. What I mean by that is I had to stop and say, okay, is it really true that I'm squeaky? I don't think my voice is that squeaky. I think if I get a little louder, it gets a little more squeakier. So if I just lower my voice a little bit, I'm not as squeaky. But I like to laugh and joke. And so that's how I turned everything around, was because I started laughing and joking about myself. And I said, okay, I'm not squeaky. I'm just personable. So I started changing it. And then I started changing the way that I dressed. I didn't like my hair, so I changed my hair. I didn't like my body, so I changed my body. I lost a lot of weight. I started changing me, and the more I changed me, the more I liked me. So that's where I mean you have to change the way you believe.
That's a brilliant point. Essentially, what you're saying is you can be whoever you want to be. You just need to
Yeah.
be willing to put in that work to change those habits, change those behavior patterns, those thinking and belief patterns, and you can be whoever you want to be. That's brilliant. I love that.
If you are a corporate professional, be it a subject matter expert, consultant, manager, or a technical expert who wants to quit corporate, work less, and yet make millions and live limitlessly, then be sure to check out my new book, Quantum Wealth Code. This book will unlock a new perspective in you, showing you how you can live limitlessly, make millions by coming in alignment with your purpose. This book also includes a powerful guided experience to unlock the quantum space of infinite possibilities within.
Once you started changing your life, did you find any challenges, as in old situations coming and trying to pull you back in the old version, where you are going, no, I'm a different version now, I'm a different person now, and then old situations are constantly coming and trying to pull you back?
Yes, a lot. I had lived in El Paso. When I was in the military, I left my home, and for 20 something years, my family wanted to put me back into that same family dynamic I had before I left. I wasn't that same person, but I fell back into that same persona. And once I did that, I started going back downhill again. Something about that song clicked in that day. And once it clicked in that day, I started saying, nope, I'm not going to go that way. That's not who I am. I'm not that same person that used to yell and scream all the time. I'm not that same person that used to think that I was so bad. I'm not that person that doesn't have a voice. You're going to have to stop and listen to me. And I still have some resistance sometimes, but for the most part, once you start telling people that, you might lose some friends, or you might you're not always going to win friends. And even your family might still get mad at you at times. But you can still love people and not be around them on a constant basis. If somebody is taking you back down that hill, no, don't let them. Fight every step of the way, and you keep taking yourself up. That's the only way to do it, is taking yourself up.
So did you, like, normally transforming yourself and walking a new path, it's a bit of a hard journey. Sometimes it can be lonely. How did you find help and support to make sure that you don't give up, you don't quit, you continue walking down the right path and not just slipping back? Did you rely on any tools, techniques, any support systems?
Okay, as corny as it sounds, I am a believer in God. And believing in God made me realize that I'm not alone. The more I felt like I wasn't alone, the more I started standing up for more things that I believed. And then, if my friends didn't necessarily agree, I found more friends. And then I started networking with other people, and I started finding like-minded people. What I mean by that is, I'm an entrepreneur, so I look for more entrepreneurs. I wanted to write a book, so I started hanging out with more people that wanted to write a book. I want to be a life coach. I started hanging out with more people that are life coaches. So I started finding different people to hang out with. I started finding different avenues, if you will, to be who I am or who I want to be. I feel like that if you want to change yourself, you have to change everything. And sometimes you're not gonna, people want to go with you, bring them with you. If they don't want to go with you, then you're gonna have to leave them alone. And
Um,
I had to really fight that for a long time. Now, my oldest son is my support. He's, Mama, whatever you want to do, I got you. My youngest son is the same way. He stays away from me because I'm leading a different kind of a life. I am trying to set myself up to build a legacy for my children and my grandchildren. He's not at that point. He's still trying to survive in his life. And my oldest son is more on track with what he wants out of life. He knows what he wants out of life. He knows where he's going. And that's the biggest part of it. Knowing where you're going and how to get there. That's my biggest part. And that's where I'm trying to get to. And I want to take my son with me, but he has to make those same choices. He has to decide that's where he wants to go. My mom still gets mad at me all the time because she thinks that I'm still that 15-year-old kid. And I'm like, no, Mom, no, way back.
So what you said is like finding your tribe is important, finding an environment where like-minded people are there, you're all on a similar or same journey and you support each other. Beautiful.
Yes.
So now that you have developed all this understanding about how to transform your life, how to transform yourself, in this journey, there are a lot of people who probably go, yeah, I know I want to have that kind of a life, but I don't know yet how that will happen. Did this happen to you when you were
Yes.
at the beginning of the transformation? Yeah, I would love to have that kind of life, but I don't know how to get there. So then how did you cross that bridge? How did you acquire the know-how? Was it evident at first, or it was a lot of trial and error? It was a lot of figuring out. How did you break that challenge?
I had lots of failures. And to me, failure is not failure. Failure is if at first you don't succeed, you try it. And for me to sit back and say, oh no, I never failed. No, that's not true. I did fail. And it wasn't failing as much as, well, that didn't work, so let me try this. That didn't work, so let me try this. I did so many trial and errors, it's not even funny. And can't remember what I had an acronym for fail, and now I can't remember what it was. There's two things about if failure is fear. If you're failing, it's because you're fearing something. Are you going to face everything and run, or are you going to face everything and ride? To get rid of that failure, you have to get rid of that fear. So you have to start facing everything and rising above it. I fought imposter syndrome forever. Imposter syndrome was so hard for me to come across because I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I didn't deserve it. And changing the way that I felt about myself helped get rid of that imposter syndrome. It helped get rid of that I'm not worthy, because in my book, everybody is worthy. I believe that everybody is on the same playing. You might have more money than me, but that doesn't mean you're better than me. You might have more success than I have, but that doesn't mean that you're better than me. That just means I'm not there yet, but I'm going to be there. I just believe that you have to keep trying and keep trying different things. If that didn't work, you try something else. I got me a coach. I got a business coach. And if you don't think that, I believe that most people do need coaches. So you have to have somebody to help you along the way, even if it's just a boss that tells you, okay, look, when you go to a new job, they don't just throw you in it, they teach you. So the same way. When you're an entrepreneur, the only way that you know how to do that is to read, teach. You have to learn. You have to sit back and have somebody. And if you can get a coach, I'm all for getting a coach to help you along the way. I won't say they're coaches. I say mentors, because mentors are the way of the world. That's the only way I can suggest.
Beautiful. And very rightly said. So I also have a $1 million makeover mentorship program. And the way I put it is, your mentor is somebody who can see your potential and see what you are capable of. That potential that you can't see yourself, that potential that you are not ready to believe about yourself. It's so easy to believe the self-doubt that comes up, the imposter syndrome that comes up, the fear that comes up. And when you have a mentor standing behind you, they are the ones who are able to help you see the things in perspective that you normally wouldn't yourself. So I 100% agree with the importance of mentorship, especially if somebody has transformed their lives and put a system together. Why would you want to waste 10, 15 years of your life doing it alone, figuring it out? Instead, just take it, run with it, so that you don't have to make the mistake that they made. You will, of course, make the mistakes, but they are new, something fresh, brilliant.
Yes.
Love it. If you are feeling stuck in your life or career, overworked, underpaid, and wondering if you'll ever be able to break free, what if I told you that by aligning with your purpose and being of service to others, you can live a joyful, fulfilling life where you can not only replace your salary addiction, but scale it to making 6-7 figures without the hustle and grind? Sounds impossible, isn't it? That's why we have created a free mini course that will walk you through the strategy and the framework. Claim it now because it's available for a limited time only. Link in the description box below.
Yeah.
So now I would like to focus on, what do you do with this understanding? Who are you serving? Who do you help? And what do you do with your life now?
Okay. So my biggest people are women over 50. I won't mention why, but it's probably got to do with my age. But I help women over 50 that are struggling through major life changes, i.e. divorce, career change, the death of a loved one, emptiness syndrome. After a certain age, your children are growing up. You're always going to be a mom, but you don't have to take care of them. So now you have to change yourself and go forward. And you have to say, okay. And I also help soldiers that are transitioning out of the military. By soldiers, I don't mean just Army, Navy. Whatever militaries you're in, I help them. I try to help them get past that. Once you get out of the military, you're in that mindset of, I've got these people up here, and this is, when you're in the military, you have a set way of doing things. When you get out of the military, you have a class that teaches you how to set your goals, steps to get to those goals. That's where I come in.
Brilliant. That's lovely to hear. Yes, I understand. If you are coming out of a very set hierarchical structure, it could be sometimes a bit baffling. Okay, where do I go now? I don't have that set structure around me. This is exactly what I do. I help corporate professionals transition out of jobs where they are overworked, underpaid, undervalued, grinding all 40, 50, 60 hours on purposeless projects which don't really mean anything to them personally. So I help them transition out of it. And the first challenge that they go, okay, in my job, I'm always told what to do. And here I've got to be self-driven. So that's where I've laid out a program, step-by-step program, just follow the instructions and you'll be able to double and 5 times your income by doing something great, helping somebody else improve their lives. The analogy that I like to give here is, if there's a lion in a circus, the lion has been fed in his cage all the time. But now if that lion was to be freed in the wild, first few days or weeks could be a little scary. My food is not being served to me. And now slowly that lion then learns how to hunt. This is exactly what happens. Like in these structures, say military, your example, or in my example, corporate structures, people are addicted to salary and that addiction to that salary, that paycheck is so much. What's your purpose in life? What kind of life do you really want to live? Who do you want to help? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? All of that goes out of the window because I want that meal served in my cage. But when the freedom happens, that's where you really start living.
Yeah.
So,
Agree.
fantastic story. I love to highlight stories like this so that everybody can get inspired and go, yeah, I also have the capability to live a life on my own terms. So, Tamara, what would be your key message to somebody who is right now stuck in a situation? Maybe they are living in a situation that they don't love. Maybe they are in a job they don't love. They feel trapped. They feel stuck. And they are not sure, how will I get out? How will I get to the other side? What would be your key message to somebody who is listening to us right now and they are living a reality that they're just not enjoying? What would be your advice?
If you're not enjoying your life, my advice is to rethink it. Find your purpose. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a purpose. And find somebody that can help you find that purpose. Hey, I would love for you to call me. Call me and I'll help you find your purpose. So, yes, please. But that's the way it is. It is. It's just a matter of finding somebody to help you find that purpose. And I struggled in my life for a long time. And it took me, and it really did. It took me sitting down, and I came home that day and I started reading and I started trying to find what it was that I thought I could get to help other people find that purpose. That's my story. My purpose is to run my big mouth to help other people find their purpose.
That's a very powerful message that you gave. Find your purpose. Can I ask you to just open this up a little bit more? Maybe this is the last question. For somebody who has been living their lives chasing a paycheck and all the societal narratives, right? Oh, you should have a great job, great employer, great brand, maybe a great house, fancy car. In all of this, why is it important to find your purpose and how would it help you?
Finding your purpose is about finding happiness. I believe that if you're not happy, get happy. I'm going through a separation right now. I'm separated from my husband. We were in a life where neither one of us was happy, but we left and we separated, and now both of us are happy. And guess what? Now both of us are talking to each other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Once you start getting out of that stagnant part of your life, once you get out of that, you become passionate. And you become passionate about everything you do. And I watched a friend of mine die. And when I watched my friend die, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's time to laugh and joke and have fun in life. I really am a firm believer that happiness is the way to go about finding your purpose. And finding your purpose is going to help you find your happiness. So
that was a golden nugget. Beautifully said, beautifully explained. Just to reiterate for the audience, what Tamara said is, if you find your purpose, you find happiness. And if you want happiness, find your purpose. Beautiful. It was amazing. It was lovely speaking with you, Tamara. Thank you so much for being here with me on this channel. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for inspiring people with your amazing story. So just for my audience, we have co-authored a beautiful book called Rebirth, where
Yes.
you will find a lot of such powerful stories of people being in various impossible situations and finding out that courage and transforming themselves inside out and creating a life of purpose, a life where they're living their dream reality. So once the book is published, I'll have the link below in the description box. You can explore. And to Tamara, thanks so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing your good work. It was lovely
And
talking
thank
to
you
you.
so much. You keep doing what you're doing, and you are an exciting person. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Pleasure. If you want to recover and heal from the impacts of the toxic corporate grind, then please check out our online store for deeply healing and life transformative offerings. If you suffer from sleep problems, a guided Brahmanidra or quantum sleep journey will not only help you get a deeply restorative sleep, it will also enable cellular regeneration and deeply heal you while you sleep. Or if you want to experience the deep peace that lies beyond the constant chatter of the mind and experience the clarity that comes from bringing equanimity to your mind, then the guided Samadhi experience will help you unlock deep peace and tranquility within, regardless of your external circumstances. Check out the Reality Simplified store for more revolutionary and life transformative offerings.